So this is the recorder, and you can capture like full screens. You can do custom areas. I always put mine, I just leave mine the same as far as the defaults and capture the full screen because I have an actual TV on my right-hand side. It's a huge TV, and then I have a screen here. It just works well if I'm going back and forth between the two. Camera, I can turn the camera on, and kind of like you're seeing this live stream, I would see my picture in the lower corner, and you can actually choose which one. Since I'm actually using Webinar Jam and connected to my video, I can't show you that. You can connect your microphone. My Yeti microphone, which I absolutely love, is broken. I don't know what happened. It just stopped working, but usually I would switch it to my microphone. Just make sure you go through all of those steps when you're recording, and you'll see this little green line. If you don't see the green line, that means you're not recording audio. The other thing about that is that you, what was I going to say? Oh, if you do record and it's not recording audio, it will warn you. That's what I love about Camtasia. I never use like the effects and all this stuff or whatever. So I'm just going to keep that here. Just to give you an overview, on your left-hand side, you'll see, and actually, sorry, you guys, let me just check my calendar. I want to make sure that I didn't show that I had something right after this, but I just want to double check. On your left-hand side, you'll see media, annotations, transitions, behaviors. I'm not going to read each of these. Media is where you pull in media. So from my desktop, you can pull in media here, or from your Google Drive. Media is going to be your pictures, your audio, basically my YouTube video here. So I'm going to take this. You can use the plus, or you can just do your own kind of drag and drop. Hold on, you guys. And I'm on a PC just in case you didn't know, Team PC. So I'm going to drag this over into Camtasia as I'm checking my calendar real quick. Yep, this is on my Facebook Live time period. Okay, good. Think of this kind of like the waiting room. Anything that you want to pull in, you can drag down to this bar. Each of the tracks are kind of like layers. So your text layer, your audio layer, anything you want to add onto it, and I'll show you that as I'm editing. And so one thing, when you're recording, so I recorded this live, so it's a little bit different. Let's put this on something else because I look like I just saw a mouse or something. Whatever, we'll leave it there. Okay, so anytime you're recording a video, this is my trick, and I learned this from Kimra Luna, but I did the opposite. So she used to do something, I think, like be quiet or do something when she made a mistake. For me, and I'm trying to think if I stole this from her, this is a trick I stole from Kimra Luna. I'm just going to say that way. Give credit where credit is due. If I make a mistake, what I do is right after the mistake, I will clap. Then I'm quiet for a little bit. And then I start. The reason why is if you can see this actually shows, and let's see, this shows your audio. And what you'll see when you're recording audio, and let me just see if I can do this. This is your voice narrator. So I don't know if I can do this while I'm recording to you guys, so I'm not. But basically, you'll see like a big, huge spike, and then you'll see nothing. And what I can do is visually go to that area, and I can just delete whatever mistake I made. So what I'll do is I'll be like, oh, and this is Webinar Jam. And I'm like, oh man, it's not Webinar Jam, it's Facebook Live. So I'll do, and then I'll repeat that statement, and I'll be like, so this is Facebook Live. And then I just go in and I could quickly go and delete that area. That is the biggest, best tip I learned about editing to make it quick for me. Okay. So let's jump in and I'll show you again. So this is media, right? And I've also saved things like, so these are like my favicons. So if I double click, oh, it shows up in the other area. I can drag things to different tracks, and notice it has like, and let me just make sure you guys can see this. So now I can, you can move anything on here. Sorry, hold on. So if I want to take this, here, I know what the problem is. I have to put the cursor at that place so I can see it. So think PicMonkey, think Canva, think all of those kind of things. Crystal, is this for your video or podcast? Sorry, just tuning in. Crystal, I use this for both. And so this is this is my video. This is literally the live stream I did. But when I record my podcast, I use Camtasia also, and I do the same things, it's just you don't have visual. Okay. So I can pull different elements over here, and these are things that I've just saved to my library, but you can always just pull them in each time. One thing is down at the bottom here, I could zoom in or zoom out, and this is zooming in on the information you see here. The way I use this is, so just now I added that favicon, but if I'm somewhere else, I don't want to have to scroll to figure out where in my time. So I can actually do this. Just like PicMonkey or anything else, I just literally click and delete. Each of the layers, again, kind of like PicMonkey, they're different layers, right? So again, I hate that I keep on, there we go. Picking places where I look a mess. And so each of these, so audios, videos, all those kind of things. When you're editing, I do zoom in more, because then if you want to stop at a certain point, I try to stop where there's like a quiet point and cut it off there. Okay, so even though we're doing video, that helps me with the transitioning and all of that kind of stuff. Okay, so with that in mind, the beginning of that live stream, I had absolutely no sound, right? I can see that on here visually because the sound starts right about here. You see this? Okay, so I can move this to here. Click. This here splits it. So it's one long video. I can say now this is one video and now this is another. And so this part of the video, I just want to delete, right? So I delete it, drag and drop, move it back. Simple as that. And so I do this usually really, really quickly, right? The other thing that you're going to want to do is usually do an intro. And so what I would do is I would probably do an intro to this, probably will do an intro to this and then add it to it. Let me just see. So I'm going to play. Would help. Okay, I don't want all this stuff in there. Hold on. Yeah, so with okay, so skip all this. I don't know any of this, right? See myself, and I can see my. Let's see if I start here. I'm just sharing. So all this stuff, when you're on YouTube, they don't want to see all the stuff. So I'm going here, and I'm going to start where I start. So I think I'm going to start around here. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit. And then I'm going to, so this is just kind of, I'm not going to talk that place where we're starting. I think it's here. I went to conference. Okay, so I think it's about here. I'm going to split it. Then play. Join me on my page. Then we'll get started just a second. I see there's more and more people coming in. The numbers are different than the number on Facebook. Okay, so let's. Now this is where I would zoom in, and where I said okay is probably around here. So I think it's where I split it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and split it. So let's get started. Perfect. Okay. And there's shortcut keys. I'm not really good at using the shortcut keys with this, surprisingly. It doesn't matter which track you're on. It's just, you know, kind of how you're doing it. So I'm going to pull this on my video. Okay. What you can do, and I don't have to do this, I'm not going to do this video, but I'm going to show you guys how you would do stuff like adding text. So what you can do is Annotations gives you a couple of things. So these are different styles. Notice there's bold, right? Legacy, abstract, or you can just do all. So again, I'm just dragging and dropping. It adds another layer, right? And it adds it wherever your cursor is. So you want to be careful. So it's adding it there. And I'm going to go to the beginning. And I can drag it. One other way that I almost forgot is for deleting. See how this is green and this is red? I can select just that. It will play. If I press play, it will just play that area. And also I can just delete. The way I actually don't use that a lot. Let me know that you guys can still hear me. I don't see any comments, so let me know that you guys can hear me. Leave a comment there. I'm gonna put it together. Okay, so annotations. I'm gonna click here. Again, you want to make sure your mouse is there. And what I love about Camtasia is that you can drag and drop. So I can take this and however long I want it to be, I can drag it, right? Up here is where I edit, so I can change the size. A lot of these, and what I don't like is I can't, you know, you can move things where it points left and right. I haven't found a way to do it. I'm sure that there's some trick that I can do, and I'll look it up when I feel like it, but I'm just lazy. And so these are the call outs on the left. On the right is how I edit this. Let me make sure. Can you guys hear me? I need some text. Somebody write something to let me know that you're still watching. If you're watching live, if you're on YouTube watching the replay, my bad. So here on your right-hand side, I can change this to a bubble. So anything basically that was on the left, I can kind of change to that. Oh, it says, okay. No, there we go. And then you can also change it from a gradient. So see how it gets from solid to a little opaque. You can do this where you can change it where it's a little more transparent, and you can actually change the color. Okay, all of that's here. If you have brand colors, you can put them in here. I don't see any comments, so I'm just going to check real quick. Okay, I see there's people. Okay, here they're coming back in. Let me know that you guys can hear and see my screen, right? And so here's the icons. You can do the outline. So over here it has, you can change this and change the color. So maybe I want the outline of this and I want it to be thicker because it's 0, but maybe that's the outline that I want, right? You can go through this. I don't do a lot of this, but on here is the outside and here's the text. Same things, colors, fonts. If you have fonts on your desktop, your brand colors, you can use those, size. You guys basically know how to do this. If you use PicMonkey or Canva or anything else, it's the same kind of thing. So I'm going to delete that, right? You can also do little arrows and things like that. Again, you're just dragging and dropping. Notice that every time you add something, it's another layer. Okay. Same thing as far as splitting. I can select all of them and split everything at the same time. Okay. This area, these are boxes, shapes, all of that. What I love about this is when I do my videos on iPhone or anything like that, I will take this and you can blur the background. So I can focus it just on my face. And again, I usually do this. I can see and hear you fine. Thank you, Tanya. I usually do this when I'm focusing on something for my desktop. So I can, I don't want them to be distracted on what's behind it. You could change the intensity, right? So this grays it out. Okay. There's also, there's a couple of different ones that you can actually play with here. There's a highlighter, pixelator. So if you have information that you're doing a video and you don't want people to see your phone number or something like that, or their face, you can actually pixelate it. Okay. And you can make it less or more pixelated. Okay, so you guys can play around with all of those. There's text, all kinds of stuff in here. For the most part, I use those when I really want to bring attention. Don't overdo that. Transitions, I'm going to have this. So let me just add some text. So this is how I would kind of use this. I would do this. I'll be like, follow me at, oops, spell it right. Right? And then I would change the color and all of that. And what you can do to draw attention is you can take a transition and apply it. Notice that they turn yellow. I can apply it to whatever I want it to, wherever I want it to show. So now, that's not a good one. Let's do a flip so you can see it more. There you go. So you can have, it's basically each object, how you transition them. You can do your videos too, but notice that a transition here can be used on an object, or if I add multiple videos in between each video, you can do that, right? Just split this. We already went over split. And then I can add like a page roll in between it. That's what, make it longer, shorter. You can kind of play around with that. See how it kind of flipped, right? Okay, so those are transitions. Okay. Behaviors, we're not going to go through that too much. That's more for text and things like that, but you can also add behaviors to these items. And so you can use these too much. So kind of hops and stuff. We're not going to go through, I don't want to go through any of those. Cursor effects. One thing that I do when I'm doing my desktop is I will record in Camtasia. You can say where your cursor is. So this one isn't a good example because I'm not using my cursor, but when you're recording your desktop and you're clicking, you say click here, you would actually take this and drag it down. And everywhere you click, like for instance, this video that I'm recording right now, I would probably turn on either the yellow cursor or the magnifying thing. I usually use the yellow cursor, and it will show exactly where your mouse is and it follows it around. My problem is I move my mouse too much, so sometimes it can be distracting. You can just say every time I click, do a red, circle or a left click or whatever. So you can do that behavior if it's easier. So Tanya says, blurring the background, that's what I want to learn how to do. Thanks. Good job, Tanya. Glad you got something out of it. So yeah, blurring the background, blurring anything out, pixelating things, using your cursor to focus. So when you're doing a lot of training, tech training, where people have to click, they don't always see your cursor, or sometimes you're moving too fast. So you have to actually show them where your cursor is moving. Okay. Voice narration. I use this, like if I make a mistake or I say something wrong, I can re-record the audio. And so I do this sometimes on my videos, or if like the quality isn't too good or there's a loud sound in the background, I can right click and I can, where is it at? Separate the audio and the video. What this does is it puts the video on one line, no audio, and the audio is on a separate line, okay? Even if you recorded your video somewhere else, not in Camtasia, you can do this. And then I can actually delete this and re-record whatever I have to say using the voice narration, okay? I can also, this is with your audio, you can like drag it up or down, make it louder. So if you have different parts of your video, some is loud, some parts of the video is very, very low, you can make them the same tone. I'm going to undo it. I am using my Control-Z shortcut key for that. Audio effects, we're not going to go through that. You can fade it in and out. I'm not going to go through any of these. All of those are extra. One thing is you can add your captions in here, and it does, let me see if they still do it. Well, there was a point where Camtasia will automatically transcribe for you, but YouTube does that automatically when you upload it. So I don't really bother with that. For the most part, I think that's all you need. You can clip things, you can copy all those. I would play around with it. But for me, I usually just do that. And at the end, I add something that says like my outro. And it comes up in a different video window. Okay. So once you're finished with your video, what you're going to do is you're going to click at the top right here and click on share. Share, you can share it to wherever you like. I never share it directly. I always, and maybe I can start doing that again, but I usually share it locally, and then I check it, and then I upload it. And doing that is because YouTube would time out sometimes, and it would piss me off. Or if it freezes and it wasn't saved, I would have an issue. So I can do a full file. You can customize it. So say I only wanted the audio, maybe I want this to be a podcast. I can change it to an audio only file, all of this. I usually just put it at 1080p. Notice that is what I'm recording my screen at. So if anytime your recording comes out, it means the way you recorded it and the way you're saving it are two different settings. Okay, title, I always uncheck organize by subfolders, because wherever I put it, that's where I want it to be. Otherwise, it will create a subfolder with everything. You click on finish, then it's done. All right, y'all. That was just a quick kind of how I edit my videos. It was impromptu and to know. I do love Camtasia. If you don't have Camtasia or you don't have money to purchase Camtasia, or it's just not your thing, if you use Film another video on how to edit videos, and that was $dollars, period. And so I have a link. I'll put a link in the comments, and I'll also put a link in the Pink Boss. I'll put the actual video in the Pink Boss Club. I edit my videos with Filmora. I did that all the way up to this year. I think that's it. Just let me know. I'm going to try to do more of these live streams and these impromptus instead of just my quick how-to YouTube videos. So as always, leave in the comments exactly what you want. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Love.